Welcome to the next edition of Legal Beef, and this time we've got our beef part back. He's back from his honeymoon. What are we going to be doing today?
We're going to be doing an open fire with one of our platinum tomahawks.
Ray, why don't you tell us a little bit about your honeymoon without going into too much intimate detail?
It was a lot of fun. Very, very hard to come back. We went to Hawaii and we visited Maui for a couple days, and then we island hopped to Kauai, where we did a lot more, exploring, hiking, helicopter tours, boat tours, different things like that. But it was a lot of fun. Expensive, but Valeria already wants us to move out there and buy a ranch and raise cattle out there, so we'll see.
Did you see any Wagyu cattle while you were in Hawaii?
I didn't, but I know there is a Wagyu producer, I think in Oahu. We met him at the American Wagyu conference last year in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, up in Idaho.
Yes, sir.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're right. When you were in Hawaii, did you have any Wagyu, like food?
Yeah, we went to a lot of sushi restaurants, tried the A5 nigiri. It's always good. And then at one of the restaurants that we went to at the Four Seasons, they had a Snake River Farms flat iron, and it was good.
Good, yeah. Snake River is in a lot of the restaurants now, and maybe some grocery stores, right?
Yeah.
They have an excellent operation. We know those who are in charge of the Wagyu operation, and they do a fantastic job. It's a commercial operation. They're not doing full blood though, are they?
No, sir. I believe it's F1.
Yeah, they have a very, very large F1 program, commercial program, and they are improving the genetics of the F1 so that you've got a Wagyu on the male side, a Wagyu bull on a they're probably doing mostly Black Angus on the female side, and they're up in the game. I mean, of the F1, and congratulations to Snake River Farms for that. But so today, this is a tomahawk, is it not?
Yes, sir.
And what part of the animal does the tomahawk come from?
So essentially, it's just the ribeye with the added bone to it, which is why they call it the tomahawk. It can be that long, only 4 inches. And then if it's only about an inch or two, then they call it, a cowboy ribeye.
The cowboy steak, cowboy ribeye?
And then if it's all the way cut and the bone's still attached, well, it's just a bone-in ribeye.
And if the bone is detached and it's just this part,
just a ribeye.
It's just a ribeye. So what makes it the tomahawk is they keep the bone on.
Yes, sir.
The full rib bone. Okay, well, let's cut it open and see what we got. By the way, you, before we started the podcast, you took this out of the refrigerator about an hour ago and to bring it close to room temperature, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And why do you bring it to, why is it important to bring the beef to room temperature before we cook it?
So if you don't bring it to room temp, then essentially the outside part of the cut or whatever steak you're going to cook is warm, but then the inside is still cold. So when you sear it or when you cook it, the outside will cook, but the inside will remain raw. And so that's sometimes when you get those uneven cooks.
Yes.
And it looks almost, rare on the inside when it has like a really nice crust or something on the outside.
Or if you end up getting the interior up to the right temperature that you like, then the exterior could be overcooked.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, let's cut her open. Now, another thing that we do, and we ask everyone to do it who cooks their steaks, is to dry the meat. So we put paper towels down, nothing fancy, just paper towels, and we wrap the meat in paper towel. And why do we want a dry surface?
So if the steak is, obviously the steak will be moist, but if you do it fresh out of the package and you start seasoning it, it has the potential for it to fall off. And then if you put it right on the grill while it's wet, then it's going to produce a lot of steam, and then it's not going to get kind of like that even cook, or whether you want the bark or the crust, on the meat.
So everyone who has a steak is really looking for that perfect crust on the steak, and if you put the steak onto the grill when it's still wet, you're not going to be happy with the crust.
No.
You're like, how come I can't get a crust? How come I can't get a crust? Well, it's because you're steaming it. All right. So while that's drying up, tell everybody what is it. Tell us about your cooking apparatus. Tell us how you're going to cook the steak and what sort of fuel you are going to use.
So today we're going to be cooking on a atabu, and essentially it just means, kind of oven. So the bottom part is the oven, and you put your coals on top. But today we're not going to use the oven. We're going to use more of the upper part and the grill plate. And so we're going to get the grill lit, get the grill part really hot. And I'm going to sear the steak in first. And then I'm going to hang the tomahawk up from the top row so it kind of cooks from indirect heat and it doesn't, overcook and it doesn't burn the outside. And that way I can kind of get an even cook going throughout and, cook it throughout a little bit of time, because it is a thick piece of meat. It's about 2.5 inches. And so when you have thicker cuts, it requires, more time to cook.
By the way, one of those things, about a 2.5 pound tomahawk, at some steakhouses like in New York and in Houston, they're plating those things for about $1,000. So 180 is not that bad. I got to brag on you on this cooking apparatus, because this was a gift to the ranch from Humberto Rios, who works with me. This is an atabu, and an atabu, as Ray says, means oven, but it also means coffin. It's a coffin, and so what it's commonly used for is to put. You can put a cabrito or a lechon, which is a small suckling pig, or a small lamb, or something like that. You put it in there whole. You can also put a big beef roast or anything like that. And you put it in there, and you close it up, and you put your fire up here, and it creates heat, and it creates a downward cook. But this got altered, and this is the part I'm bragging about on my son and on Jeff, our ranch manager, because they've converted this into a device that's going to let them do a live fire demonstration with tomahawk and also hang from the hooks. So one of the things they did is they added these refractionary bricks onto the surface of the atabu cooking surface. And that way, once these refractionary bricks heat up, it will produce a lot of heat, a lot of radiant heat. And these are the same refractionary bricks that are used like in a pizza oven. Once they heat up, they will distribute the heat evenly and hold the heat for a very long time. And then what they did is they added this, they welded this on here. And this is a standard grill, which can be lowered and raised, so he can control the cooking temperature. And then, as he explained towards the end of the cook, he's going to hang it off of a hook for the finishing touches, and we'll get to that. So, Ray, why don't you tell them what sort of fuel you use? I mean, some people like to use charcoal. Some people like to use mesquite wood. Some people like to use pecan wood, which we got a lot of. You can see all these pecan trees in the background. We got about 900 trees here on the ranch. What is it that you like to use, and tell them why?
So I'm a real big charcoal guy. Also like to use, pecan wood from the ranch, because it's really cool to say that we're using the trees and the wood that comes from here. Today though, we're just going to be using charcoal, and I really like the green egg. We used to have one, and that's what I learned on when you first taught me how to do charcoal, and it's been my favorite. It's a really clean burn. The smoke that the coals produce don't really add, like a smoky flavor like what mesquite wood or a cherry wood would do. So I really like the green egg one.
So green egg has different woods, flavor profiles. The one we're going to use today is 100% natural oak and hickory. They have a mild, a moderate, and a strong live fire flavor. We're using a moderate one. And what's really neat about the Big Green Egg, and the reason why we're real big fans of it, is because it produces very, very little ash. It burns hot and it burns super clean. So it won't create a mess, and it doesn't produce a lot of soot. And because it has a clean, efficient, um, um, its efficiency is very high, and it produces a very clean smoke. And that's why we use it. So why don't you get it ready? Show them how you get it ready.
So we kind of use these cylinders to start them. It's really nice to do it. It keeps the coals, trapped together and gets it all lit up rather than laying everything out first.
Quick fire starters.
Yeah, essentially, because the air comes in through the bottom and goes up to the top, kind of like a vortex, and it just lights everything, and it's really nice. All you have to do is just pick them up and dump all the burning coals out.
So shout out to the Big Green Egg. We had a Big Green Egg and had it for many years, and produced a lot of great meals out of that Big Green Egg. They are super versatile and efficient smokers. You can grill. You can get your temperature in that Big Green Egg. We can get it up to over 900 degrees, 1100. We could wrap the thermometer and get it up over 900 degrees, hotter than you could ever want it. Could do pizzas. We could do long cooked ribs, briskets, and it just controls the heat so efficiently. So if you want to keep your brisket at 225 degrees, and you want it to cook for 9, 10, 12 hours, you can just load that Big Green up with that stuff right there. And then once it's lit, you control the temperature, and once you get it to that 225, it'll keep it at that for hours upon hours on end. It's really hard to beat.
You know what happened to ours?
Yeah, we gave it away to somebody.
Somebody gave it away.
So what sort of fire starter are you using?
So these are just tumbleweeds, and really any tumbleweed will work really well.
Yeah.
This was just the only brand that they had at HEB at the time.
Yeah, these are from HEB, Royal Oaks, natural fire starters, and they are, it says it's not hazardous to human health, and they cook off. I mean, by the time the coals are ready, any hydrocarbon that is contained in these fire starters is long gone. Remember at our ranch in Raymondville, we used to start the fires in those big pits that we had. In those big pits, we'd start them we'd take a beer can or a Coke can and an aluminum can and cut them in half and put them on the base of the pit, fill it with gasoline, and then put the wood on top of it and light the can. And, it doesn't explode because the vapor is not trapped and it's not enough to create it anyway. So that's how we used to do it back then. We're a little smarter than that now, barely.
I don't know. I tried that the other day, but with the solo cup.
But that didn't work.
No,
It just melted.
driving back, and I was holding it out so it wouldn't spill on me.
Oh no!
And then all of a sudden, all the gas came pouring out.
So why don't you pick up the meat, and I'm going to get rid of this. Get rid of the paper towel. All right. So now show them the meat. So where is the spinalis? Hold it up like this so the camera can see it. Talk about the different parts.
So the eye of the ribeye is the center part, and then this is the spinalis up here, which is called also the lip.
The cap, ribeye cap, lip, spinalis.
Spinalis. This is probably, if not one of the most flavorful and tender cuts in the entire cow.
Yeah.
It's a very, very prized possession. We've sacrificed a couple of them, a couple of ribeyes where we just cut off the entire lip and separate it from the eye. But the eyes didn't go to waste. We actually ended up using those for chicken fried steaks. Those are probably some of the best ones.
Oh, ever. Well, let's look at the intermuscular marbling. Where does, when we talk about intermuscular marbling or digital marbling percentage, we're not talking about this fat cap right here. We're talking about the intermuscular fat that is in between these muscle fibers. What happens to those during the cook?
So it's really in Wagyu, because of all that, marbling that's in it, it has a lot of natural umami flavors, a lot of rich omega-3 fatty acids, and monounsaturated fatty acids. So as it cooks, it begins to render down and just releases this flavor throughout the meat that's just, once you take a bite of it, it's almost like an explosion. Essentially, it's like having MSG, but not using any MSG.
Wow. To get that flavor.
Yeah.
And even though it's got a higher percentage of intermuscular fat in between the fibers, it's known to be a healthy fat because it has much more monounsaturated fat than it does, and much less unsaturated fats than a normal commercial beef. There's been multiple studies around the world to support that Wagyu beef is heart healthy. And one of the most recent studies was out of Texas A&M, and they compiled all the research that had been done and came out with a more definitive report. And apart from being healthy, it sure just tastes so much better. All right. So how long do we got to wait for the fire to be ready?
So that just kind of depends, on wind and, outside temperatures, but usually 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get the coals ready, pour them out, and then we'll lower that grill plate down so that way the grill itself can get hot. And because what you don't want to do is immediately put the grill plate down and then put the steak on there, because it's not going to sear or anything. It's going to cook while the plate, or I guess the grill, is heating up as well. So you want the grill hot before you put any cut or steak down.
Yeah. So a couple of funny stories about the big green egg and this kind of a carbon or charcoal. It's lump charcoal, and it's different than regular charcoal, because those of us that have used regular charcoal know that when you start the fire, you got to let it burn down and turn into mostly ashes before it's ready to cook, right? You really don't want to see the black charcoal when you're putting your meat on top. But with the big green egg, it's completely the opposite. Once it gets going, then it's ready to be used, and it's ready to start grilling your meat. And that just is a reflection of how clean it burns. You can see already the smoke that's coming out. It's a white smoke. It's not a black smoke or a gray smoke or full of soot. It's very white. That's why in the big green egg, you can load it up with this lump charcoal, and you just get it lit. And once you're sure that it's lit, you can put your brisket on and close it up and walk away after you get your temperature right, and it will continue to burn, continue to burn, continue to burn. If your meat is finished, you can shut it off, and if there's still unspent, unused lump charcoal, it'd still be good for the next burn. For the next cook. And so, I had a very good friend of ours, very, very close friend of ours, compadre. We bought him a green egg for Christmas. And he had never had one, didn't know how to use it. And so we got it to him, and he decided he was going to use it for this big party he was going to have. He had some tenderloins, he had some lobsters, and I don't know why he decided he was going to try and use it for the first time when he had guests, as opposed to trying it out before he had guests. But he said, okay, I'm gonna use it. And of course, like most men, he didn't read the instructions. He didn't watch the video that it comes with on how to use the big green egg. He thought it was just a normal barbecue pit. So he went and got some regular charcoal and threw it into the green egg, and he used lighter fluid, and it wouldn't light. It would light, and then it would go out, and it would light, and it'd go out. And he'd put more, and he'd put more. He could not get it lit for nothing. So then he had this great idea to go to his garage and get a blower that's used to blow the leaves and the dust and stuff off your porch. And he went under to the bottom of the green egg and turned on his blower to give it some air. Woo! Well, all those embers come flying out of the top of the green egg and come over to his pool furniture and end up burning his pool furniture. And he thought this big green egg was just a piece of shit. So he folded it up and put it away and never used it again and pulled out his old pit for his guests. But it just goes to show you got to know how to use the device. But it's really amazing. This stuff is really amazing, and it doesn't change. One of the reasons why we like it is because it doesn't change the flavor of the meat itself. It allows the flavor of the meat to come out all on its own. So what else you got, Ray? We got to get the bone ready at some point.
Oh yeah. So I'm just gonna drill a hole up near the bone, up towards the top, so that way we can hang it. It's always fun.
So some people will take chicken wire or butcher string and they'll tie it up, and so they can hang it. Or you can use a hook, and we're going to use a hook. And in order to do that, we're going to put a hole at the top of the bone so that the hook can go through it. Hey, what's my drink?
Might have to be a bigger hole. Oh, that worked.
Oh, perfection. Look at that. I like it. You can see it's already starting to come apart right there. You got the meat. It's at room temperature or near room temperature. You've dried it out. You gotten the moisture off of the surface. Now, what do you do to spice it up before you put it on the grill? Some people use olive oil as a binder. Some people use mustard. Some people use all kinds of stuff. They use Montreal steak. There's all kinds of stuff you can put on there. What do you do with your full-blood, high-end Wagyu?
Well, someone taught me when I first started learning how to cook that with a good piece of meat, you don't need anything else other than sea salt and pepper. And that's kind of been my philosophy ever since. So just sea salt, crushed or cracked black pepper. But today we're just going to be doing sea salt just to kind of see, really how the meat tastes, and really the whole reasoning behind, using other seasonings, other spices, marinades or binders, is to give the meat either more flavor or make it more tender. With Wagyu, especially full blood, you don't need any of that because the meat itself already has so much flavor in it. It's already so tender that you really don't have to add anything to it. So, we get a lot of people in the store, asking how do we cook it, how do we season it, and we always, recommend sea salt and pepper. If they have a favorite seasoning, always like to let them know, if you get a steak or if you get two steaks, either cut the one steak in half, do half of it with sea salt and pepper, and then do the other half with whatever seasoning that they may like. That way they can taste both of them and see which one they like. But we always encourage our customers and people, that stay out at the ranch, just let the meat speak for itself. Like, there's a reason why it's such a high quality that it doesn't need anything else. It's fantastic. Yeah. That goes for sauces too. I'm not a big sauce guy.
Yeah. You mean finish after it's done, you put it and you plate it, some people put all kinds of sauces on it, right?
Yeah.
And we've done that. It's great by itself, but sometimes at Japanese restaurants, it's common with Wagyu to use a ponzu or a soy and wasabi. In fact, when we were in Australia and we were at Trent Bridges with Charlie Perry and his family, what did he pull out? He pulled out some
soy sauce and wasabi.
Soy sauce and wasabi, and we're like, oh, why would you do that to a steak? To a Wagyu steak? But it was really, really good. I sometimes like to do a really good butter with a really good blue cheese and melt them together and dab it a little bit in there. And I mean, it just changes the flavor profile. But you're right, it doesn't need anything other than a quality sea salt or kosher salt or some flake finishing salt. But season it up. See how you do it.
So this is just a H-E-B Mediterranean sea salt. And with a thick piece of meat, we want to season it quite a bit because a lot of it is going to come off or cook off.
Now you're not using a binder. You could use a binder, but you're not. Why not?
So the binder, like I said, is just, to add flavor. Again, I really don't want stuff throughout the cook dripping down on the hot coals and then get a flare up just because since it already has so much fat, it's already going to produce a lot of grease or, just fat rendering. And that's just going to drip down on the coals and cause a lot of flare ups. And we don't want unnecessary flare ups. So we'll season, all sides, even around the edges.
Especially on that fat cap. Did you get the tip?
I didn't, but you can just roll it around.
I have a cousin in Chihuahua who's a rancher and a custom broker, Severo. He would be happy to eat it raw just as it is. So I have a little concern. I don't know whether we either have the chicken wire or the butcher deal, but once it goes to hanging, see the weight of it may pull it apart. We may have to wrap this before we hang it. So while it's doing its initial cook, I'll go look for something to tie it together.
You're gonna burn
my hair off.
Hair is left.
Supplement. Shit, that's enough for a 14-hour brisket.
Trying to just even out the coals to get an even cooking surface.
So this is an interesting point. Most of the time, when you see anybody else or hear anybody else, they tell you to create a couple of different surfaces when you're going to have a longer cook. You want a hot surface and you want a cooler surface, and so you want to keep all your coals on one side so you can have direct heat on this side and maybe an indirect heat on this side. But the reason why you're spreading out all your coals evenly is because you're controlling the cooking temperature in a different way than moving the steak across the grill. How are you going to control your temperature?
By either lowering or raising this grill plate. And what's nice about this, open fire, I guess, is you could always very easy to move the coals.
Yeah, as needed.
If I really need, to.
If you need it. But you're right, you control the cooking temperature by raising or lowering your grill.
Right.
Ooh, look at that. That's what I call some ingenuity. So this is the first time we use this, right?
I would say like this. I mean, I think we used
in this configuration.
Yes, sir. We've used it, I think, once or twice when we first got it, and then just kind of, you got your Santa Maria grill and preferred using that instead.
Oh, sure. But this is the first time with the refractionary bricks and all of that.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we'll see.
It was the same bricks we use on the Santa Maria, so
yeah,
if they work there, one would assume they would work here.
Yeah. And they're already seasoned bricks.
Yeah.
Because you pulled them off my Santa Maria grill and borrowed them for this.
It's just a test.
Just a test.
If it works, we'll go get more.
All right. Now we've got the coals right about where they're at their hottest, right? And you've lowered the grill. Why did you choose this level as opposed to a little lower, a little higher before you put the steaks on?
So it's all about kind of feel. So I had it lower all the way to where it's just resting on the bricks. And usually you want to be able to do about 2 seconds with holding your hand over it. And when I did it there, I couldn't do
Even
even a second. So
too hot.
Too hot, and don't want to burn the steak as soon as you put it on. So raise it a little bit, so that way it's not burning, and I can put my hand,
Right.
Leave it there for 3, 4, 5 seconds.
Okay. All right. So you've got the fire where you want it. Now you've got a device in your hand there to clean the grill.
Yeah, just any old brush I like to use. It was already clean, but just, kind of take off some of the excess dust and dirt that gets on it.
So, just a pro tip. Lots of times, weekend grillers, we'll go out to our pit. We'll cook our barbecue. We'll cook our burger, our steaks, and then we're so anxious to eat them while they're hot. We don't take the time to clean the grill, and then it's not ready for us the next weekend. And we come back, and you have a grill that is unclean. Well, the problem with that is you've got to clean the grill before you cook every single time. For food safety, for the quality of your next meal, because if you've got already, stuff that is caked onto your grill and then, you're reheating it and that's getting onto your new food, it's going to be burnt and it's going to be bitter and it's going to affect the flavor, and that's the best thing that can happen. It could, from a food safety standpoint, be even worse. So we make sure the surface is clean every single time. I don't know if you noticed, but when Ray used a wire brush, from a food safety standpoint, you've got to follow up with a wire brush with a cloth or something to make sure that none of those little needles, those wire needles, end up being left on the pit, because those wire needles, if they're consumed, it's going to get ugly. It can really do some damage to your stomach lining, to your esophagus, to your intestines as it goes through. So you want a good, clean surface. See, even though it was a clean grill, and he did it with the wire mesh, there's still some stuff that's on there that you want to get off. I should be wearing a glove because it's really, really hot. I can see why I'd cook a tomahawk. All right. I think you're good to go, Mr. Thomas.